Hello and welcome back to another one of my mini series. After adding the seat PM2 point motors, I thought it was time to upgrade to a nice new control panel to activate them all. This would be constructed out of acrylic and plasticard, something a little bit different than the conventional panels. So let's go down and have a look how this is done. Okay, so this is the box that will house the control panel on there. I got my diagram where I wanted the switches, and that is the most important thing. So you do your wiring done first, make sure you got all your switches in place, and then add the holes where you'll need them in respect to your layout. You see I've got them there and there, so I've made sure that they fit nicely within that little aperture in there, so they don't catch on the sides or anything. So that's what I've done. This was just a rough to give me an idea to the size that I wanted, so I drew the actual layout on there. So I got some acrylic and I have drawn that image on both sides. So what you do is you take that, lay that on there, draw out the image on that side, you flip it over and then copy it through on both sides. You won't actually see this side, but this will then have a layout. You then drill your holes like I've done there, and that's a representation of the panel that you want. That will then fit. You can see I've actually made that to size to fit in there, so that little shelf bit there to hold it. So I've actually got the acrylic to sit in there. It is important to have acrylic to use because I'm going to use poly cement, which is good at bonding plasticard to the actual acrylic, which I'm going to sort of put in bits like that and make out the track. So what we're going to do, we're going to peel this. This has actually got a coating on the front, so I'm going to peel that off, and you'll actually see the underneath. There you go. So that's the underneath. So we can actually glue to this, and that's our plan. That's what will happen. So we'll start laying some of this down, cutting it up to shape, and we'll glue them down. Now I'm going to leave. I'll do one bit, and then I'll come back to the other. I need a little bit of a gap, about 3 mil from there. There's our mark. Just very gently cut it with a scalpel. This is plastic card that I've actually cut down. You can buy strips, but I actually make my own, just cut it down for a massive sheet. It's a lot cheaper that way. So that's what will happen, and then I'll do the next bit and bring that into there, leaving a little gap in between. And so I shall carry on. So what we do now, we actually just glue these on, and before I do that I'm just going to take the dust off of here, so it's nice and dust free, it's nice and clean. And now we get our poly cement. Again, we're going to spray over this so you won't actually see any of this, and this is probably the most fiddliest part, he says. Nip that, put a dab on there, and we'll turn that over, and we'll drag it through it. I think that is the easiest way of doing this. And then we then position that along the lines where we had it. This does glue pretty quick, so having them lines marked out underneath is very important at this stage. You can see I've left a little gap there. Drop that in. That's better. Now basically the same size. Just line them up. Be as near as. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's going to fit on there. That's what you're going to see. Drag that back a tiny bit. You can always cut a bit off if it's protruding in the hole. You can just get a scalpel and just wick a bit off. So it's all adjustable at this point. Next bit will be that bit there. Around the right way. Drop that into there. Sit in the middle of that. Try and get it on first go if you can. That's that. Let's have a quick look that way. That would bug me, so I need to just straighten that out a little bit. And then say this will dry quite nicely within probably about 30 minutes. It'll be nicely welded in into the plastic, because that's what you want it to do. You want this to weld in. Drop that bit in there. Should just overlap there. So I'll carry on and we'll get this all done and I'll show you the end result. So that's the plastic card all in place, and that's how it will sit. And you can see our holes are within the aperture where they'll go through. This is 5mm acrylic. I was just lucky to have some of this. I've had it for a little while. So it's and then the plastic card glued to it. And I say that's now all in place. I just used another bit of acrylic to push it down nice and flat. But that's set. You can see where we drew the lines behind it. You can see the track layout, and that's just a guide. You won't see, that'll always be there, you won't see that because that'll be covered over in spray. So we're going to spray this now and take all the dust off it because we don't want any dust. We'll spray it over, and then once we've sprayed it, we'll then pick out our lines, and then we'll add our switches and put it back how we want it. So I'll paint it up. Right, it's been 2 hours since I sprayed this. I have got a couple of bits of dust in it, which is there and there, but that's inevitable. You can't always get rid of dust. But it's come out pretty well. Happy for what I want, so I'm happy with that. I've chosen some Sharpies. I'm going to use black for the main rails, red for the parcel depot, and I'm going to use the blue here. So I'm going to start with the black, the red actually. And so what we do with this, I just basically very gently run the Sharpie over the plastic card. And that will give you the colour of your designated piece of track. Might have to go over them again, but get a bit of colour on them and then let them dry a little bit. These are permanent pens, so it should be pretty good when they go on. A little bit of matte varnish over the top just to seal it in. Let that dry for a bit and I'll come back to that one. Get these from the pound shop. or somewhere like that. Pick up Sharpies anywhere, WH Smiths. Steady hand is required. Right, carry on, and we'll see what it looks like at the end, and then we'll fit the panel to the main frame and put the switches back in. Just need to get a cover on at this stage. Okay, so I've finished the panel, got that on there, the little lines. You can see I actually put a little dot of black on there. If you actually miss and a bit comes off, which does happen, get a little bit of your spray of the colour you put on there, and then just do a little tiny spray at the bottom. Get a cocktail stick and just dab it on the colour, and it will just take it out. If you can get it on there. So we put the switches in. The panel's all dry now, so that will fit onto there, and then they'll go up there. I'll show you that bit in a minute. So what we'll do, we'll now fit the switches to the panel, and we'll put it all together. Number 5, I made a little plan of where my switches go, and I numbered them, so it was easy to do. So you can see that's the back where we had the pencil or the pen marks. You can just see the plastic card underneath. It's now sprayed over and laminated. So number 5 is the bottom there. Put a little washer, the screw on, and get an 8mm socket set. Just very gently nip that down, and that will just fall nicely into place. Now I put white on the top of these with the number on, just so I knew that was the top, which direction the switch would travel, and that is nice and tight. So it's now that one. Number 4 is this one. I have got some other washers in that, but there's not a lot of room to fit them, so I'm just going to stick with one little bolt on there for the moment. Right, so I've just slid the acrylic through the aperture there. Just done it very carefully, needed 2 hands to do that. So that's now in place. I'm now going to screw this down. So the terminal block is now screwed into that little panel there, and I'll just give it a little paint inside, and that there is now ready to stick together. Just check the wiring. All the wiring's good, nothing's out of place, and that is it on that one. It just basically now screws up. I'll bring the camera up slightly. I'll get it into position, and we'll screw it in. Put that one in, that screw the hole there. Push that in. Now when I sprayed the grey, I sprayed the screws as well, which they may chip a little bit, but they're now the same colour. Hold that in there for a second, and we'll do this one here, and then that realistically is our panel. Quite simple. That's to there, and with that little fit that to there, and there you go. There is our panel. So all nicely mounted to the layout. many thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like and comment if you want to follow more. Also, don't forget other great community channels that also need your support.